Lord have mercy. Hello, everybody. Friday afternoon means one thing. If you're watching this, it means Facebook Live Friday.
Is that what it means?
That's what it means. No Dave Baker, Lee K. Howard sitting in today as Dave is on the greatest three letters in the human language, PTO.
That's right. We don't know. We were trying to guess what he might be doing today. I assume like he's got a pina colada in his hand. He's laying by the pool working on his tan. I can't confirm that, but I just imagine in my head.
All I know, the biggest reason I knew, besides the email saying he wasn't going to be here, was the parking lot was free of roamers.
That's right. That's right.
There was no one walking the parking lot. Thanks for joining us.
Buzz
today.
also works security here.
He does. He is the roving security reporter. But Buzz, enjoy your day off. Enjoy your weekend off. We've got a lot going on today. Tomorrow, golly, we've got Big Blue Madness last week. We've got Blue-White game this week for the men and the women, and then UK football. I mean, but let's talk a little basketball because that's what you're going to be doing tonight at Memorial.
Right.
I cannot remember the last time UK men's and women's basketball were at Memorial. It's got to be Rick Pitino era.
Yeah, and you know, and that's something they've talked about for years, trying to play. I mean, there's even been the idea floated, let's try to play one game, a non-conference game. I don't know that that's ever going to happen just because of the desire for tickets. So the blue-white game made sense to put there in Memorial, but it's going to be a different atmosphere, a different type of blue-white scrimmage than what we've seen in the past. Sure. It is turned over to Club Blue NIL now, and
yes,
so it's basically a fundraiser is what it is. So people that were used to going to the blue-white game, I think this is going to be very different. This is a fundraiser more than a game. So there's positives and there's obviously negatives as far as ticket prices are concerned to this type of an event.
And in the past, it has been highly affordable. But ladies and gentlemen, children, this is a brand new era we are all adjusting to, and everything is going to start costing a little bit more or a lot more than it has in the past. Free events in the past won't be free in the future, and it is an adjustment. I realize that, but get ready to start paying because, as you mentioned, we talked earlier, and I got text messages and social media messages from many of my friends saying, $125
right
for the upper tank seat. You know, it's a different world.
So let's address that. I think this is what I was told. I was talking to some people and they were saying basically the blue-white game in years past had kind of lost a lot of its luster. You know, and there had even been talks of almost combining that with Big Blue Madness and making that one big event. I think that instead of getting rid of the blue-white game altogether, the thing to do in this NIL era that we're in now is to turn that over and make it like a fundraiser, right? So I get that excludes a lot of people from being able to go, and that part of it I don't like. I do like the part that they're going to raise a lot of money just based on ticket prices to go to this event that will help them in the future recruit at the same levels as the other programs and that what we're used to seeing at Kentucky. So if you look at it from that standpoint, it's a positive. So I also think the format of this is going to be very different. Like you said, I'll be over there. They're going to scrimmage, the men's and the women's teams. They're going to actually have a scrimmage, but it's also going to be a lot more of like a fan interactive experience.
It's not just going to be teams running up and down the court.
Exactly. They're going to have fans coming down, doing things, participating in different games, all that sort of thing. One other thing to note, because they did want to drive up kind of demand for the tickets, it's not televised. So you're not going to be able to see the blue-white game on TV or the computer. Like, you can't see it anywhere. Good news is I'll be there with a camera, so
you can watch us.
That's right. You can watch us at 11 o'clock tonight here on WKYT, and I'll have a recap and have some highlights for you. So a very different thing. Now, the good thing is the men's team does play an exhibition game on Wednesday in just a few days against an actual opponent.
Yeah, Kentucky Wesleyan.
That's right. So you will get a chance to see them in just a couple of days.
You know, 27 players are on the men's and women's rosters combined. 23 new players.
Crazy.
And I think, and then obviously all the coaches are new, both sides. So this is really if you can put Adolph Rupp as the first true era of UK basketball, and then, yes, you've got another, Joe B. Hall, and I'm not saying he had his own era, but Rick Pitino started a new era.
Sure.
With what he did. Calipari, so this is like a fourth new era where it is brand new basketball. You had Adolph Rupp, what he did. Pitino revolutionized and saved UK basketball in a lot of ways. Calipari takes it to another level with the new NIL world. And now you've got Mark Pope with a brand new team that he had to assemble in about 5 weeks. The same for Kenny Brooks of the UK women. And the women's team, you talk about drastic change on both sides, mind you, but the women have 6'6" and 6'5s and 6'4s and 6'2s, and they have my attention more than the men a little bit because you've also got, nothing against Mark Pope, you've got a proven coach who's taken a team to the Final Four with Virginia Tech, who has also dragged the players that were going with him to Virginia Tech. Hey, I'm going to go over here to Kentucky, and that spotlight turns much brighter, much bluer, and much bigger.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think there's more unknowns with the men's team at Kentucky because a lot of these guys, you know, they've had success at lower levels, at smaller programs. Obviously very talented, or else they wouldn't be at Kentucky, but how is that going to mesh? And also, how is that going to compare to the opponents and the rest of the SEC in particular? The women's team, you're right. So we don't know the men's team if that's an upgrade, a downgrade in talent, what? We don't really know until they get on the court. The women's team, though, just looking at the roster,
instant upgrade.
You can tell that that's an upgrade. I mean, just the amount of talent, the players that Kenny Brooks has been able to bring into Kentucky, I mean, they ought to be head and shoulders, literally, above the last couple of years. I mean, they already go into the, I mean, when was the last time you have a program like Kentucky women's basketball that has had the lack of success of the last couple of years, right? A new coach comes in and they're ranked 22nd in the AP poll. And they haven't even tipped the ball
And
off.
I think they're going to be better than that.
I do too.
Just on looking at the roster, looking at the visuals of, okay, you're upgrading here, upgrade here, upgrade here, upgrade here. You're upgrading in coaching, you're upgrading in recruiting, you're upgrading, period. And, you know, the cat daddy is South Carolina. That's a different entity entirely. But Kentucky automatically, without hitting the court yet, they have improved in just about every facet of the game on the women's side. On the men's side, I think we are going to see, to a degree, what Rick Pitino started here in the late 80s. It's not going to be a three-for-all where it's just 3 or nothing here on 3 home run derby. You know, there's going to be you're going to see pressing. You're going to see Kentucky's got 2 defensive players of the year from respective conferences elsewhere. You're going to see, I think, an old school approach of we're actually going to build a system with not change the system every year.
Right.
We're going to build something and recruit people, grab the parts to build the perfect car we want.
Right.
Instead of just saying, we'll take that Corvette, that Corvette.
We'll take the best parts and
and that's it.
Yeah. Do you think they've installed an offense or an out of bounds play at this point?
It'll be that floppy.
But not to, but in all seriousness, I mean,
do that, but
but here's the thing. I think Mark Pope is going to build a program that is built to compete in college basketball. And I also think that there will still be those guys, like we've been used to seeing over the last couple of years, that have their names called in the first round of the NBA draft. I mean, you're still going to have some of those guys coming through this program, and Mark Pope has made that very clear. He's going to continue to recruit at that level. You already see that with that 2025 class. But yeah, I think that's one thing about tonight's blue-white game that we're going to get to see a little bit of a preview of is some of that basketball IQ and some of that analytic type stuff that they bring to the game on offense and defense. It's going to be fun to see just how they're going to play college basketball.
It's kind of cool because in the Calipari era, you had the brand new, right off the line, shining new automobile. And now you've got, hey, like new.
Yeah.
you've got some great used cars that have come in. They've been polished, they've been waxed, they've been refurbished, and they are learning something new. And I think that is, and affordable, mind you. At least right now. And I think that's really got a lot of people excited.
Hope they still got that powertrain warranty and that, that extended warranty.
3 years, 36,000 miles.
That's right. I mean,
but it's going to be a lot of fun with basketball this year. For the first time in years, I'm actually excited. The last time I personally got excited about UK basketball was the Tyler Hero team, that 2019 ball club that still somehow, I don't know how they lost to Auburn. But that's another topic for another day.
do you know what? I was looking at that roster today randomly, and you've got P.J. Washington, Tyler Hero, Keldon Johnson, Emmanuel Quickly. There's 4 NBA players. Nick Richards was on that team. He may or may not still be. I mean,
you got a good ball club right there. Yeah, don't. I just got in a bad mood. Yeah. Okay. Tomorrow, UK football, Florida. And I mentioned this yesterday. Florida, in case you did not know, Graham Mertz, quarterback, he's done for the year, got hurt against Tennessee. And you don't like to see injuries, but automatically I think UK gets a check mark because you take away a huge chunk of Florida. But now you've got the great variable, the great asterisk, the great unknown. Who is DJ Lagway?
Yeah. Well, and he's played this year, and he's played quite a bit, and he's talented, and he is a 5-star true freshman, but there's a difference.
Sure there is.
When, he's, like I said, he's played a lot, so it's not going to be like the nerves of getting into his first game, anything like that. But now the keys are his, right? There's not if I don't do so well, Graham will come back in. And even just from a defensive standpoint for Kentucky, now I think it becomes a little bit of an advantage because you're preparing for one quarterback. Whereas if Mertz hadn't been injured, you've got to prepare for both of those guys and their different skill sets. So now you got one guy, even though he's super talented, he's a true freshman, and he's the guy you've been game planning for all week.
And I think with the way football fell last week to Vanderbilt, you just don't know what you're getting now. And that's the scary part after 5-6 weeks of football. 6 weeks, you don't know who's showing up. Is it going to be the team which took Georgia to the wire? Is it going to be the team which looked very, very good offensively in the opener? Or is it going to be the team which moves the ball against Vandy and then drops a snap? Is it going to be the team that doesn't show up against South Carolina? The team which goes on the road and wears out Ole Miss. When you look at the numbers, they controlled things. They had the big play when they needed it. You just don't know what you're going to get. I'm afraid if UK goes to Florida and loses, it's officially basketball season. Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that would be tough. This is a game, especially after you lose to Vandy. This is a game you have to get a win. You have to get that win. I was over at the facilities, UK facilities, talking to Brad White a couple of days ago, and he said that Vandy game was the worst performance that his defense has had all season long. If the Kentucky defense shows up tomorrow in Gainesville,
we're going to get
I think it's an easy win because I think that Kentucky's defense is the great equalizer in most of their game. And and especially if they can come away with points on the defensive side of the ball, a pick six, a fumble recovery, something like that. If the Kentucky defense shows up like they can play, like we saw them play against Ole Miss, like we saw them play against Georgia, Kentucky walks away from Gainesville as a winner.
I still don't think the UK defense played so poorly. The defense gave the offense a chance to win that ball game against Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia had a couple of big runs where he broke loose. But at the end of the day, and one of the questions was asked of Brad White, hey, you guys played all right. He goes, no, I don't think we did. He is so much smarter than any of us when it comes to the X's and O's. But for him to say it immediately after the game and then say it again when he had time to really analyze everything, still it's the strength of the team is the kicking game, which let down UK because of the snapping or the holding. And then if the defense doesn't perform to Brad White's liking, that means the offense has got to put 30 or 40 on the board, and they can't do that.
Now, the thing that the offense may have in their favor tomorrow is Chip Traynham, the running back transfer from Ohio State, who we have not seen all year long, injured his hand, broken hand in the fall camp, hadn't played. Stoops said yesterday that we could see him tomorrow. Now, he was upgraded too. On Wednesday, he was questionable on the availability report. Yesterday, he was probable. Now, we've seen almost every guy that's been probable on the availability report this year at least suit up. And so Stoops was asked about it last night, And he said basically he's been chomping at the bit. They thought they were going to get him back a couple weeks ago, and Stoops said he had a setback, whatever that was, with his hand. And if he plays, now Stoops did say it's not a guarantee because you've got two guys, Jamarian Wilcox and Dimisumo Karngbae, who have been playing well in front of him. But I think, Brian, that there's a chance that Chip Trainum gets on the field tomorrow.
I can't. Which wrist was it? I can't remember, left or right. Either way, what's the strength in that?
Right.
To carry the football, and if you carry it in the other hand, that means, let's say it was his right hand that was broken. I cannot remember. They're going to hit that one first.
Sure.
So how do you know, it's an interesting dynamic that he will have to go through if we see him against Florida. We have to get back to work, especially that young man, because he's got to hit the road here in a minute. Thanks for watching Facebook Live Friday afternoon edition, as it always is. And I guess Dave Baker will be back with us next week.
He's suntanning right now.
Thanks for watching. We'll do it again next time.